everyone. We are live. We're going to get started in just a few moments. Let folks kind of hop in here, and we're going to do a few minutes of just technical testing. I see we have quite a few folks already waiting on the YouTube link. Today, if you're joining and you're on the YouTube link, this workshop is with Greg Reverdiau. It's the how to start and market your drone business. Like I said, we're going to get started in just a few moments. If it's your first time seeing Greg, you are in for a treat today. Greg is beyond being, a certified, beyond being an aviation professional and a certified flight instructor, a commercial pilot. He's also an incredible instructor. I'm not going to call you Professor R, but I know your students do. And he's just a joy to listen to. So, what we would love to know is, can you see us? Can you hear us? Greg, can you say hello? And we'll test things out before we get into the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thanks for joining. I'm really excited.
Great. Folks, I'm going to wait till I see it in the comments. I know there's a bit of a 10 to 20 second lag between what we say and typically in the comments, but let us know you could see us. Let us know you could hear us before we, Greg jumps into his background and we start getting into the presentation. It is very cool to see, Greg, just so you know where folks are joining from today. I'm seeing Houston, Texas, Las Vegas, South Beach, Honolulu, Hawaii, Michigan, Marietta, Georgia, Huntsville, Alabama. I'm just trying to grab a few here, but it looks like we have folks joining from all over the U.S. and all over the world to watch today's workshop. Before we hop in, I do want to highlight one comment. I have to. Eric, congratulations. Passed the exam with a 95% prepared by Greg's classes. That is a cool way to start the workshop today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love it. Especially when you know that the FA average is about right around 80%. So 95 is amazing.
Very cool. Well, Greg, if you're ready, it looks like folks can see us. It looks like they could hear us. Just as a reminder, one more housekeeping thing before I hand it over to Greg. There will be a replay available. So if Greg covers anything, you want to stop, pause, take a note, take a screenshot, no problem. There will be a replay available. And, as we've done before, if this is your first time joining us, one of the most important things today is the Q&A. If you have a question for Greg today, if you have a question about, your upcoming exam or about Greg's course, there will be time at the end for Q&A. So even if you put questions in the chat during it, I'll try to catch those and bring them up towards the end. Take your notes, get ready to ask your questions because Greg is here and we want to get him, while he's here, let's get his advice. Without further ado, Greg, I'm going to bring your presentation from backstage.
Outstanding. Aaron, thank you as always. I'm really excited to have you guys. I see people from Texas. That's actually just where I came from. I was in northwest of Austin for a 3-day conference. And Brownsville, Texas, I see right there. And this was a conference where we flew a whole bunch of drones. We talked to a bunch of different manufacturers. And it was just amazing. And you can see my beautiful tan lines right here is from those 3 days being in the sun. But today we're going to talk about starting and marketing your drone business. And before we start anything, for those of you that don't know me, I want you to kind of figure out why you should be listening to me. I was the assistant vice president for a large collegiate flight training program in Florida. We had over 100 employees. We had 500 students and 50 aircraft. And that's all I did for 13 years, quite frankly, for that company. I decided to move to Arizona, where I was in charge of a smaller flight school. We had 25 employees, 14 aircraft, 100 students. And I've been running my own business really ever since, including Pilot Institute. And so what I do at Pilot Institute, I'm the owner, I'm the co-owner actually, and the lead instructor. And I just checked the numbers this morning. We've got 83,000 students in our system at the moment, and we get 118,000 enrollments. So we've been doing this a while. We know what we're doing. We're happy to help people on a regular basis. I see names already in the chat right here of people that I recognize from our courses. I've been a flight instructor for the last 20 years, flight instructor, commercial pilot, and of course a remote pilot as well. Since 2016 when the FA came up with Part 107. So I teach at a university as a professor. I'm the program chair actually for the UAS department at the university. So I got a plate full, but I want to give you a little bit of my background so you understand why you should be listening to me today. But I teach this class obviously on Teachable, and I've made mistakes myself around the last 20 years about businesses. And I started businesses, a lot of them succeeded, but some of them actually didn't do so hot. So when I get into the drone industry, I realized that a lot of people didn't have the background to create a business. And quite frankly, creating a business, whether it's a drone business or if it's any other business, you need to know the basics. And I created this course specifically to do this, to give you a solid foundation of how to start a business. And I'll tell you more a little bit in a second, but we're going to talk about the different types of drone services that you can actually offer. And there is such a variety of different things that you can do with a drone, and it's amazing. We're going to see how much you can make. And I'm going to be very open about this because I hear a lot of people saying you can make millions. And I'm not saying you can't make millions, but it's going to be more difficult, and we have to be realistic. We're going to talk about how you can find customer, which is one of the most difficult things to do, really, for any business, but specifically for drone businesses. And we're going to talk about some marketing strategies of things that you can do to be more proficient and be more efficient with your customers and finding people and keeping them especially. And then I'm going to give you some tips at the very end of things that you can do. This is really what it's all about. And if you decide to take the course, you'll see that there is, I think, 27 different actionable items in the course for you to get ready for your business. So with that being said, I have a realistic approach. I have a realistic approach because I'm not selling you a dream, okay? I'm selling you reality. I'm selling you the fact that this is not going to be easy. This is going to take work. There's no easy money out there, and the drone industry is definitely not one of these make millions and do nothing, okay? I'm not going to tell you you're going to be a millionaire. Like I said before, you might be a millionaire if you do this well. You could be making a decent amount of money, but I'm not going to overpromise what you're going to do with the drone. I'm not going to say that you're going to make $100 to $300 an hour because, well, the reality of things is maybe you won't. And so I'm not selling you a dream. There's no snake oil right here. And for those of you that know me, this is not what I do. I'm going to be very realistic. But a lot of questions that we get from people is, when do I need the certificate? And you may have heard of it. It's called the Part 107 certificate. And the short answer is very simple. Anytime that you're flying for anything other than fun, anything other than recreational purposes, then you're going to need to get that Part 107 certificate. Collecting money is actually not necessarily, or not collecting money, I should say, is not necessarily one of the check boxes. You could be doing something for non-for-profits, for example, and it still requires you to have a Part 107. It's all about the intent of the flight. You get the drone. I have a bunch of them around my studio here, and you grab a drone. Here's one actually right here, right off my shelf. And you grab this drone and you say, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do pictures for my friend who owns a business. Well, you may do it for free, and it still requires you to have a Part 107. So we have to be careful with this in the way that we understand the regulation. And here's a bunch of examples, and because these are things that we get on a regular basis from a lot of different students that ask questions. I'm a realtor and I do pictures of my own listing. Well, this requires a Part 107 because, again, you're not grabbing this drone to go and have fun just for recreational purposes. I'm doing pictures for free for my church. Again, this is not just for recreational purposes. So now you're going to have to get the Part 107 certificate. This is my favorite one because this one comes from the FAA. It says, I'm checking the gutters at my grandma's house. And this sounds like, and even at your own house, technically, as soon as you decide, the purpose of this flight is to check the gutters and see if there's pine needles or whatever leaves in there, that becomes a Part 107 operation. So I always mention it because it's always a bit ridiculous, but that tells you the mentality of what of how the FAA is thinking. And I'm doing a video for my friend just to practice for my own business, and I'm doing a video for his business. I'm not charging him or her anything. Still requires a Part 107. So I think by now you get it. You understand the difference between those two. But before you get into that business, make sure that you have this Part 107 certificate because it's going to be required. Something that we get all the time from students is, what can I do with my drones? How can I make money with my drone? And there's a lot of industries, and every single day there's more and more. Like I said, I just came back from this 3-day meeting in Texas, and it was amazing to listen to firefighters, to police departments, to first responders, basically saying, this is how we use the drones and this is how we save lives. And it was just incredible to hear all the stories, the good stories of things that they do with drones. But in the civilian world, if you want, We have a photography, videography business. You can do real estate photos. You can do a wedding, anything with journalism. You can do be on movie sets, for example. If you have the larger drone with a higher quality, you can definitely do that. Then we have the whole mapping industry. And when I say mapping, I'm talking about collecting data with this drone right here, and then putting it together to create 3D maps, 2D maps. We call them ortho mosaic maps, and do construction progression. You fly this drone on Monday and they continue building the building, and you fly the drone again on Wednesday, you fly the drone again on Friday, and then you put together a video of the progression of a specific site. And this is something that's very popular at the moment. We can do volume measurement, and this is kind of mind blowing. Not too long ago, in California, there was a mudslide and took a portion of the highway and shut down. They flew drones and they were able to measure the amount of volume. They created a 3D model. They were able to measure the amount of volume of dirt that had basically gotten away from the road, so that they could do some calculation of cost and how much dirt they need to bring in. So volume measurement is a big thing. We can do inspections. We can do power line inspections. We can do solar panel inspections, wind turbine. You can get on the roof. So for those, if any of you are roof inspectors, perfect tool. This is in your toolbox, just like a hammer, just like a tape measure, just like anything else that you have. You pop this thing out, you don't need to get on the roof anymore. You can get close up safely, which is the key right here, and get all that data available to your clients. We have on the agriculture side, which is really cool, we can do plant health. Now, not with this sensor. Now, this is just what we call an RGB camera, red, green, and blue camera. But there are special sensors that you can put on and capture the plant health information. So you have a patch on the golf course that's starting to get brown. Well, before it even gets brown, the camera and the sensor is going to be able to capture that data and be able to tell the golf course owner, hey, you need to go out there and you need to water that spot specifically. They can even send drones now that carry the product to take care of that specific area. They spray, and then that's all they have to do. They don't have to guess anymore and spray everything. So mapping, as always, also for agriculture, to map a specific area, a crop, or whatever it is. And then we have drone deliveries. And I made a slide just for drone deliveries because it's a question that we get all the time. I own a pizza shop, or I own a small restaurant, and I want to start delivering pizza to my customers that live in the area. And sadly, it's not that easy. Drone deliveries are in the news a lot because it's cool. But the reality of things is the FAA is pretty stringent on the regulation to become a drone delivery entity. So at the moment, there's only 4 companies in the country, and you can probably guess who they are: the Amazon, the FedEx, and the UPS of the world, that are doing drone deliveries because they get a special approval. It's called Part 135. Part 135 is the same thing that aircraft carriers are using. The larger the UPS and the FedEx that fly actual airplane, that's also the way that they get certified. So Part 135 operation, not going to happen with the mom and pop shop that wants to deliver pizza. The only thing that you can do, you may ask, can I fly this thing and actually deliver something to my neighbor, a roll of toilet paper? That happened. We saw that example during the pandemic. And yeah, absolutely. If you stay within visual line of sight, then you have the ability to deliver something. So this could be a business model if this is something that you want to do. And then the public safety side, and as I said, the conference I went to, that's what this was all about. We see fire departments that are using thermal cameras on their drones to look up and find where the fire actually started. It's not always obvious. You see smoke on one side, and you may not know exactly where the fire is. And this story stuck with me of this company that said, or this fire department, I think it was Austin, where they said they were flying the drone with a thermal camera, and they were able to tell the firefighter that was on the ground to stay away from a specific area, because an electrical wire was about to break loose. And when the wire broke loose, they were able to get the person out of the way. And about 20 seconds later, the wire broke and it fell down exactly where the firefighter was. So eyes in the sky, that's really what these things are. And they're able to, with command control, to send the information to everyone on site. The conference I was at had a software where everybody gets a feed on their phone, and they have the ability to see what the drone is looking at. So from a eye in the sky perspective, that was absolutely amazing. So the applications are endless, and you can find your own application, I'm sure, by creating something that you're good at and that you really want to do. So this is me quoting myself right now. A drone is just another tool to gather data, and that's what it is. It's a tool that you're going to be using to capture images, infrared that you're going to use to capture plant health, whatever it is that you do, you're capturing that data, and then you're going to do something with that data. So that's key right here. Let's get back to reality a little bit, because this is all cool, right? You can use your drone for a lot of different things. How do you get there? And the way that you get there is with some hard work. And again, this is a dose of reality. You're going to be wearing a lot of different hats. You're going to be a marketer, you're going to be a salesman, you're going to be a web designer, you're going to be an accountant, you're going to be a pilot, you're going to edit your own footage, you're going to produce your videos, you're going to be a personal assistant, at least at first, until you can get somebody else on board to help you with all of this. So it means lots of long hours until you are established. You need to get the certification. We talked about this. You need to do a lot of market research. We help you in the course to do this. Who's your target? How many people are actually in your target market around you that you can go after and sell your product? You're going to have to build a clientele, and that takes time as well. Especially if you've never done this before, you're starting from scratch, then you need to build that clientele. We see a lot of people that are coming to us with a business already established, and now they're adding drones as an additional tool. We see a lot of photographers doing that because now they want this different perspective from the sky. You're going to need to get authorizations when you fly in specific airspace, and sometimes that takes an hour, maybe even 2 hours to get authorization to fly close to an airport, to fly at a higher altitude. You're going to have to learn new equipment. This is what I do for a living, and we spend a lot of time flying drones because we need to understand the new technology. So you're going to have to do the same thing. You get a new drone, you're going to have to learn how it works. There's a software update. You're going to need to learn what the software update does. You're going to have to keep your skills up. So as you can see, the list is starting to pile on and on and on at this stage. There's very little payback at first, and this is true for any business. If you've ever started a business, this is the reality of things, is you may be losing money for the first year or 2 years or 3 years. It's very common. So you have to be ready for this. You may not be successful on day one, on month one, or even year one, but there should be a positive trend that gets you to the point where you can do this and be sustainable. So the paybacks are pretty low at first. So what does a typical day look like for a drone pilot? And you'll realize why I said you're going to be wearing different hats, because this is exactly what happens. You're going to need to find new clients, and without new clients, you don't have work. So that's going to be a big part of your day on a regular basis. You may get recurrent clients, which is what you should be aiming for, trying to get those clients again and again and again. But at one point, you need to find new clients. You're going to write quotes. You're going to write invoices. Ask me. I'm a business owner, and those are the things that we do. And now I have a team because I've built up my business. But when we started, this is what I did on my own: create my invoice and dealt with customers, finding new clients. You need to create your marketing campaigns. You need to be out there. People need to know who you are and what kind of services you are offering. You need to prepare for your flights. You get a client and they say, I want you to fly in the class Delta airspace, in very close to the runway. We have a property right there and we need to get pictures of it. All right, now you need to go to the charts. You need to make sure with the FAA that everything is good. You need to get approval. You need to check the weather. You need to check that your equipment is good, that you have batteries that are charged. You understand now, all of this preparing for the flight is a lot of work. You are going to have to create company documents. At first, you may be the only person flying. Eventually, you're going to bring another person and then another person, and now you need to bring them on board and train them. So having documents like standard operating procedures, SOPs, checklist, training documents, all of this is going to have to be built over time. So extremely, extremely important. And then eventually you're going to fly your drone, right? You've done all of this work, you found the client, you prepared for it, and now you are going to fly your drone. You're going to practice flying your drone. And sometimes you may not have a mission for a while, and then you need to practice in between. And then flying the drone is one thing. Remember, you're collecting data. Once you collected the data, what do you do with it? You go back home or to your studio, to your work office, and now you have to analyze the data. Your roof inspector, now you have to look at the pictures and find if the roof is actually doing good or if it's not, or if there's something that needs to be fixed. So collecting the data is simple, analyzing the data, not so much. And then you have to deal with the customers. Some customers are easier than others. If any of you have worked in retail, then you understand that statement very, very well. And then you're the business owner, so you're going to have to look at financial documents, and you're going to have to make decisions based on those financial documents. You're going to have to pay your bills and make sure you make enough money to pay your bills. So that's a typical day, and there may be, I'm sure, a lot of other things that I'm missing. I base this on the fact that I owned a drone business company, and these are the things that we did. And then as a business owner now, these are the things that I do on a regular basis as well. So these are true. A few more things. When you're done with your day, you may have to review the new technology. DJI just came up with this new drone. What does that look like? Is this something I should be buying? Is it something I should be skipping? You're going to learn about the new regulation. Usually this is where I come in. This is the work that I do for you. If you're one of our students, I provide you with news updates. We update the course. We tell you when new regulation goes into place. So that's a part that we want you to skip and not have to worry about, because this is what we do. That's our area of expertise. And if you start bringing people on board, you're going to have to manage them. And the reality is that takes time. So that's everything you need to do to get the job done. And pretty much this is everything that we help you with in the course to show you how you get to all these steps and how you succeed in all of these steps. Because if you miss any of these, then, well, you're not 100% successful. So the good news is, it's a lot of work, but it does get easier as you go. Starting a business, again, any business takes a lot of effort upfront, and then eventually it does get a little bit easier. But you have to push through that initial period. We see, I'm not going to say we see a lot of people getting discouraged after a while, but it does happen. And we give them a little boost, and we say, hey, this happens to everyone. Stay with it. It may not look like it's going to work 100% right now, but if you stick with it, then eventually it's going to pay out. So how much can you make? That's a typical question we get all the time. And the answer is millions. No, it's not. The answer is not millions. The pay range is going to vary greatly. If you, just like every industry, there are different layers of customers. And depending on the type of customers that you have, then you're going to be making more money or less money, depending on the type of equipment that you need. You don't see it right here, but I have this very large drone right here on the board, and we're actually building another even larger drone over there. These large drones are expensive, and they usually command more money for every mission that you do. Something that's more affordable like this is going to see a lot more competition, because, well, people don't have to spend a lot of money to get to it, and then now they can compete with everybody else. So if you have a very simple drone with a very simple camera, you go to a drone aggregator, which is somebody who finds clients for you and they hire you to do the job, then you may be looking at for a payout of $50 to $300 per mission. It can take you about an hour to do. Now you can say, well, $50 an hour is not so bad. $300 an hour is definitely not bad at all. Well, you still have to get ready for it. You still have to go. You still have to practice with your drone. Everything I mentioned before still has to happen. So something that you need to look into. The larger the equipment, the more expensive the equipment, the less competition you're going to have, because the price of entry is a lot higher. So it's an investment. This is a risk. It's also an investment. And this is up to you to decide whether you want to invest in a $6,000 LiDAR camera. There's just a camera that goes on a $10,000 drone. But now when you have this kind of equipment, as you can imagine, you go to the client, now they're willing to pay a lot more money because they can't afford to buy it, because they don't have a use for it 100% of the time. So now you can understand why things change. You have a thermal camera that you put on your drone. That's usually going to, again, command for more money by the time you get there. So how much money do you make? It depends. That really is the answer. It depends on what you want to do. Most people start with real estate photography. Well, real estate photography, because it only requires a fairly small drone, then typically there's going to be more competition, which means that the price, the revenue per mission is going to be lower. You get to the LiDAR side of things, then you can have contracts that pay $10, $20, $30,000 for a 1 week contract or a 2 week contract. So things can get different depending on what you get. So, and I'm keeping an eye. I see that you guys are leaving a lot of comments, so hopefully we can answer all of these. The skill set is important. Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. People say, well, what can I do with my drone? My first question to you is, what can you do? What are you good at? What are you interested in, especially? Are you a roof inspector at the moment? Well, then I'm going to say you can use your drone to help with your roof inspections. Or are you someone who has a construction background? And maybe you can get into construction progression. Maybe you can help people with measuring volumes and help them with their site. So there's a lot of things based on what you're good at, what your background is. We see people that are surveyors that buy these drones, expensive drones, and they create survey grade level maps and using drones. What kind of skills are you willing to learn? That's another good question that you should ask yourself. Is there something that maybe interests you that you're willing to spend some money? Thermography is one of them. We use thermal cameras to measure different temperatures. So something that you need to ask yourself. Also, something that you need to ask yourself, which is highly critical, which is what is the demand in your area? I live in Prescott, Arizona. Not far from us is Phoenix, Arizona. And in Phoenix, Arizona, you know what there's not a whole lot of? Cornfields. So if I decide to start a drone business that's going to look at the plant health for cornfields, probably not the best place to do this because there is not a whole lot of demand. Okay. Now, if it's something with maybe I'm working with the forest department, the Forest Service department, helping them prevent wildfires. These are things that we unfortunately have quite a bit around here. Now there's a demand. Now there's a business for me to develop. A lot of people have great ideas, but when they start looking at the demand around themselves, they realize, well, there is not a whole lot of it. So not a whole lot of customers for me to go after. The next thing you need to ask yourself is what makes you different. And this is key because if you have competition, if you don't have competition, you don't even need to worry about this. You're going all in. If you have competition, why is it that I, as the customer, I'm going to pick you as the provider? And what makes you different? Are you cheaper? Not always something that you want to compete on. Are you providing more for the same amount of money? Are you providing better quality? Are you providing a quicker turnaround time? Are you working with the list goes on and on and on, but you need to find out why you are different. Are you collecting data and are you also analyzing the data? Maybe you want to work for a roof inspector and you want to say, I'm just going to collect the data. I don't know how to look at a roof and see if it's good or not good. Then I'm going to provide you the data and then you can analyze it. So now there's two different sides of the thing. You can be the pilot and you can be the person that analyzes the data, or you can be both of them at the same time. So something to look into. A few tips. These are tips from things that I've learned from either from our students or from myself or from just talking to people in the industry. Don't try to do everything at once. I see people that go out there and they say, I'm going to do wedding photography, I'm going to do maps, I'm going to do cinematography, I'm going to do inspections, I'm going to do, and then they basically list everything that drones can do. And I can tell you from a customer perspective, when the customer looks at this, they're going to say, I don't know. I don't know if you can really be an expert in all of these things. Now, if you have a team of 20 people and you've grown your business, and I have a friend in Phoenix who does that, and he has grown his team, and yes, he can offer all of these services. If you're by yourself, there's very little chance that you are an expert at all of these things. Pick one, pick two that you're really good at, that you have expertise, that you can look at people and say, yeah, this is what I do. It's like me, right? You listen to me because I gave you my credentials. I created this level of expertise that you hopefully look at this and say, yeah, I want to listen to him because it looks like he knows what he's talking about. At least I get you fooled, right? The competition, you have to look at what they're doing. You have to find your competition out there. You have to find what they're doing, how much they're charging. And not only that, but are they doing a good job? If they're doing a good job, why are they doing a good job? Are you going to be able to compete with that? And eventually, obviously, you're going to be taking customers away from them. or you're going to be creating new customers, but you have to find out what your competition is doing. How much are they charging? What kind of services are they offering? You have to look into all that. Can you be different? We talked about this. Can you be better? Can you provide a new service maybe that someone is not offering at the moment? And then again, the demand thing. Is there enough demand for what you plan to offer? And you can do research on that. You have to talk to people. You have to talk to your friends and find out if this is a good idea. And the last thing is you need to create a business plan. And I'm going to overemphasize on building the business plan. And it's not because this is what we have you do in the course. What we have you do in the course, there's a reason behind it. Is because I see a lot of people that have all these ideas in their head, but they don't have the pathway to get to the end result. They say, I want to do this business. Well, my first question is, okay, how are you going to do it? Who are your customers? How many customers do you have around here? What is your competition? How much are you going to charge for your services? Is that going to be enough for you to make money? And I'm just going through all the different things in the business plan right now in the back of my head, is because if you don't think about all of this, you're not going to get to the end result. And I see this on a regular basis because we work with customers that take the course and we see what they do. And at the end of it, a lot of comments that we get is, oh, I never thought that this was going to be so complicated or so or there was going to be so little money at the end of it because of the investment, or maybe the opposite. And they say, wow, actually, this is a lot better than what I had thought. So you have to go through these steps, and the business plan is important, including all your financials. And this is the things that we teach you. I'm going to teach you how to do a profit and loss statement. I'm going to teach you how to do a cash flow to make sure that you don't run out of cash. And those are key things that you have to understand. So a few more tips. Advanced skills. Advanced skills means that you're going to you're going to charge more money for your services. If you know how to do thermography, well, you probably took a course with a company called Flair, and you probably spent several $1,000s on that certification, which means that this puts you a little higher up than the person who's never done that. So you know what you're talking about. So now you have a higher paying job. Also consider upskilling, which means that consider learning new things. You may be a roof inspector. Now you want to get into power line inspection. Okay, now you can learn and get a course and learn that skill to move to the next level. And if you already have a business, I'm sure a lot of you in the comments already have businesses. This is an additional tool in your toolbox. Just like a hammer, just like a tape measure, as I mentioned before, this is something that you can use to supplement your business. We see a lot of people that come in. I had a customer who had a slightly different approach, and he said, I'm a wedding photographer, and I see a lot of my competition are charging more for the drone footage. And he said, I'm not going to do that. This is just an additional camera in my tool bag, and I'm going to charge the same amount, but I'm going to tell them that now I can do aerial photography. And I thought that was brilliant because he was using what he had already and he just made it better. So that's a tip for you. I don't remember his name, but thank you for the tip. Before you do all of this, your clients are going to want to see your portfolio. And the portfolio is a representation of what you can do. I always tell students, the customer is not interested in what you fly. You could show up with this, or you could show up with the big Inspire 2 that's hanging up there. The end result is the same because the customer doesn't know drones. You know drones, you probably love drones like I do, but at the end of the day, the customer wants a final product. They want to see what you're capable of doing. That's what your portfolio does. So if you're a photographer, put your best pictures, different angles, different lighting situations, different types of photos that you do. You can do videos, do a show reel of everything that you can do, and make it look really cool. 1 minute, 2 minutes, that's it. Just show people so that they look at this and they can say, wow, this is what we need. This is exactly the person that we need. You know, I always use the example when my wife and I, we get married, we picked a wedding photographer. Well, I picked a wedding photographer by looking at the photos and I said, this is the style that I want. I look at somebody else's photos and I said, these are the photos that we want to have for our wedding. These are the memories that we want to have. So that's how you sell your customers. The aggregators, I've mentioned the drone aggregators. And if you're not familiar, there's about 3 or 4 companies out there that are fairly reliable that provide drone work for people that don't really know how to get their own customers. So they go out, they talk to the customers, and then they say, hey, we need a pilot here in Prescott at 10 a.m. on Saturday. And then you show up, and then they tell you how much it's going to pay. They tell you what you're supposed to do. You do the photos, you send them the photos, and then you're done. So I recommend that you use the drone aggregators to get your portfolio built up, to get your experience built up. Be careful if you're going to use some of these shots in your portfolio. Make sure that you're allowed to do this. Sometimes they keep the rights to the photos so you can reuse them, but you learn skills and then you can build your own portfolio from there. So it's something to keep in mind. The next question, which we get a lot, which is how do you find customers? And more importantly, how do you keep them? Because you may have heard the old adage of a brand new customer is more expensive to get than keeping a current customer. And that's very true. So create those relationships and create them directly with the person that's going to be paying, that's going to be giving you the check. I have a friend in Phoenix, and he has this truck that has his branding on it, and it screams drones, and it's really bright and it's very visible. And he's also a very visible person, very outgoing, but he has business cards, and he's driving around coming back from a mission, and he see that somebody's doing a construction job. He goes in there, he talks to the foreman, he talks to the person in charge of the site, and he says, this is what we do. And he's out there, he's outgoing. And this is hard sometimes. This is hard because I know some people are introverts and they have a hard time doing this, but you got to push yourself. You got to go out there. You got to shake hands. You got to, especially now that things are finally starting to reopen, go out there, talk to people, shake hands, introduce yourself. They may not have any work for you at the moment. Give them your business card. And then eventually they're going to say, hey, remember that guy that came in or that girl that came in that had the drone business? Hey, we need them now. Let's give them a call. So you never know where that business card is going to take you. Find who your target market is and then contact them. If you're going after realtors, contact all the realtors in your area and then introduce yourself and tell them what you can do. Don't wait for the customers to get to you. It's never going to happen. I can guarantee you, if you wait and you sit in your office and you're not proactive, you will not get the business that you expect. All right, and this is very important. And if you have customers and they're good, keep calling them and say, hey, do you need additional work? And maybe they're going to say, oh yeah, we have something coming up. We have a house that we need photographed over there. Maybe they forgot about you, right? They're not always going to be on. You're not always going to be on their mind. So make sure that you talk to them. All right, I'm going to make sure that I'm still live right here. Yep, I see your comments coming in. You guys are very busy down there.
Craig, actually, can we take a second? Because you talked about the aggregators. I think what would be helpful is, do you mind calling out a few of them? You flew through it so quick. I know folks in the comments are asking, when you talk about aggregators, which ones do you recommend? Just give us a few, and I'll try to grab links and throw them in the chat for you.
Okay, that works. The drone aggregators, we have DroneBase is one of the oldest one out there. We have Drone Hive. We have Drone Up. It's all drone something, right? And now there's a fourth one, and I can't remember them. They're not drone something. That's probably why. But DroneBase, Drone Hive, Drone Up. Those are people you want to look at. They all have a slightly different approach to doing the jobs. They all have a different market. If this is something that you want to do, my recommendation is hit them all up. It's free. Just join. Tell them where you are. Tell them the equipment that you have, and then they'll be able to help you. Now, here's a tip. This one is a free one, just like all the other ones. Do not rely on this for full-time pay. If you're going in there and you say, oh, I signed up for all four of them, all three of them, now I'm going to wait for all the jobs to come in. That's not how it works. You need to be able to go out yourself and find your own customers. They're not going to keep you busy. So this is something, but I'm glad you mentioned this. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Greg. I'll pop backstage, but just want to call it one more thing before I pop backstage. There are some great questions in the chat, folks. We're going to try to bring up as many as we could during the Q&A, so keep coming. I am looking, and I'm trying to mark which ones we're going to come to. So keep the questions.
Yeah, we're almost done. I wanted to keep several minutes at the end, so that's why I'm going so fast. There are a lot to cover. So, all right, how do you find customers? So we talked about this. Go out there, build those relationships, shake hands, and then provide your service and keep in touch with them. You also have to be flexible, and this is not always easy, but I tell some of our students, okay, you design, you have a gold package, you have a silver package, and you have a bronze package. Are you willing to go out of these packages to provide maybe more a la carte type of service? And there's a beautiful picture right here. This is not from me, but this is something you've seen before. Your customers are going to want three things, all of them at once, and none of them are possible, all of them at once. You can get 2 out of 3, and that's it. Good, fast, and cheap. You cannot do all three of these and meet all of the requirements. If you want good and fast, it's going to be expensive. If you want good and cheap, it's going to be pretty slow. If you want fast and cheap, it's going to be low quality. All right, but you can get all three of these in the same thing. So if you have a business card, put that in the back of the business card, and you'll see the results. Let's talk a little bit about marketing, because it all comes down really to marketing. How good are you going to be at getting in front of your customers or potential customers? Keep your product simple. Tell your people, this is what we do. We have maybe 3 packages and that's it. Maybe 2 packages and that's it. Keep it very simple so that they don't get confused with all the offerings that you have. I see people sometimes saying, well, you can get this, and then if you buy within the next 30 minutes, then you can get this and you can get this. It just gets very confusing. Keep it very, very simple. And then offer packages so people can just buy. You offer your real estate photographer, you offer 10 photos and one minute video maybe, or 20 photos for your next package. So keep it in a package format so it helps. And then show your expertise. And this is what it's all about, right? This is why I'm in front of you right here. I'm showing you my expertise, and I'm trying to sell you on the fact that, well, I'm going to give you good information out there. And this is what you do. You show your expertise. You can develop case studies. We see this from more advanced companies where they say, hey, we sold this package to this realtor, and they were able to sell the house in 5 days quicker than if they didn't have the package. So I'm making this up, obviously, but you understand the idea of a case study. Show your clients the benefits of using drones, and there are multiple. If you're going to somebody who's on the roof all the time during roof inspection, and you say, hey, you can fly this thing without ever being in danger of being on the roof and falling, that's an easy sell right here. Why you? You need to work on your little elevator speech, a 30-second speech of what it is that you do. If I go to you and I shake your hand and say, what is it that you do? And you're going to say, well, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then you have 30 seconds to tell me and get me sold on what it is that you do. And why you? Why are you special? What do you do differently than other people? And why are you good? Why are you strength? So this is something that you need to keep in the back of your mind, because, well, that's your marketing message. That's what you're going to tell other people. Being the cheapest, not necessarily the best thing out there, okay? Cheap usually means lower quality in people's head. Even if you use the term affordable, okay, you don't want to be the cheapest in town. That's my personal belief. You need to look at your online presence. You need to collect reviews and testimonials. We have close to 7,000 reviews, I think, at Pilot Institute, and 4.9 out of 5. So when people go on there and they look at the first 20, 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Oh, maybe there's a 4-star, 5-star, 5-star. That makes a lot of sense. People love to read others' comments. If you have somebody who was not happy, work with them so that review goes away, and make it right to them, make it right to the customer. You need to have social presence. You need to be able to be out there to show people what you do. My friend Mark in Phoenix, he has a beautiful website, and he has a presence on Facebook, on Instagram, and every time they go for a mission, he takes a picture and he explains what it is that they did. So if you, imagine yourself being a customer, you look at their website and you're like, wow, these guys are busy. They fly every single day and they do these missions, and it's really cool. I'm going to go with them because they're active. So make sure you show how active you actually are. And you need your website. This is a no-brainer these days. You need to have a website. It needs to be designed. It needs to be simple. It needs to be fast. It needs to be mobile friendly. We talk about all of this in the course, so I don't want to make this presentation too long because I want to get to your questions. But you need that online presence. You also need to be on Google Business. You need to be on Google Business. You need to be on Yelp, on Thumbtack. You need to be on the Yellow Pages. You need to be on any business listing that you can be, because you never know where people are looking to find you. And the more you are out there, the more Google, right? Google rules the world for searches. The more Google finds you on different places, the more they're like, hey, this is a legitimate business. We're going to send people over there when they look for the right keywords. Speaking of Google, make sure that you know how to rank your website. Now, this could be another 2 or 3 hour presentation just on search engine optimization, and you need to work on that. So you need to research these terms. We give you tips in the course on how to do some of it, but you have to optimize your listings and be visible out there. Very, very important. Advertising. Be visible. Now that you guys have watched this, I can almost guarantee you, if you go on YouTube or if you went on our website, you're going to be getting an ad from us, because this is what we do. We're visible. We're visible in front of you because we don't want you to forget about us, and we want you to join our services. And I'm being very open about this because there's no secret. This is how it works. You have to get in front of your customers. So advertise on Google, advertise on other services, on Facebook, on whatever it is that you can afford. And then at the same time, build your mailing list. We have 120,000 people in our mailing list these days. So every time we send an email, it goes to 120,000 people, which is huge, because the reach that you have, the more people you have on board, the more you can send information about your product. And bullet number 1, be visible. So very, very important. And then, of course, SEO, search engine optimization. I mentioned this, very, very powerful. You need to be found online with Google. So make sure that you do this. And I'm almost done. This is the getting to the end right here. But what's next? I want you to do something. I've been talking for the last 45 minutes, and I want you to get in there and get started. Research. And I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again. Research, research, research. You have to find out everything that's going on around you before you jump into this business both feet. You need to find out if it's going to be viable, if it's something that you really want to do. Create a business plan. This is exactly what the course is all about. I'm going to show you how to create a solid business plan. Like I said, 20 some task items that you're going to be doing day after day after day until you're done with the course, and build a solid business plan. You're going to name your business. You're going to make it legal, create an LLC or an S Corp or C Corp, whatever it is that you do. And then you're going to create your marketing plan, and you're going to implement it. Everything we just talked about, SEO, Google, and your listings and everything, you're going to make it happen. And then you're going to find clients, and then you're going to make, well, money. I was going to say millions, but no, we're going to make money. All right. So that's the goal. That's really, it really is that simple. In here, I notice there's a typo. It should say 5, not 4. But it really is that simple right here. You do need to get in there. And I see somebody mentioning the business license. You do need a business license depending on where you are, and that's absolutely true. You need to make sure that you read the local regulation. Your city may require a license, your state, your county may require a license. So we show you how to find that information in the course. So that's what we have. We actually have the course bundled with our Part 107 for those interested, but the offer for today is the $79 for the Part 107 made easy, for the drone business made easy, which is just the drone business course. So if you already have your Part 107, this is perfect. If you want to get into this, quite frankly, this is I think it's about $5 an hour equivalent for the video. So you're getting $5 an hour equivalent of service and expertise, and we help you in the comments as well. So we have other courses as well. You can find them on our website, Drone Flying 101. We have a course that teaches you how to build your own drone. We also teach airplane pilots. So that's my background, as you know, a flying instructor. So we have courses that do that as well. But enough about what we offer. I want to hear your questions, and I want to get into that Q&A. So I'm guessing.
Thank you so much for that, Greg.
Yeah.
Well, and before we get to the Q&A, folks, if you've been with us for the past 45 minutes, what I would love first is let Greg know in the comments you appreciate him putting this together. This is a free workshop. Greg's here sharing knowledge. Let him know in the comments that that you appreciate him. Because Greg, I appreciate you being here and sharing so much in 45 minutes. You fly through these things.
Yes,
with that, we can hop into some of the questions. One of the ones that came up, there's a bunch that came up more than once, but one I wanted to grab while we wait for folks to send some thank yous, was again on insurance, right? You spoke on it, but to make sure it's super, super clear,
Yep. Insurance is, insurance.
And with insurance, sorry, actually, not just insurance. Can you speak just to remind again when they need a 107? Because again, there was some folks debating, hey, it's over a certain weight. It's, recreational activities versus commercial activities. I think it bears repeating. Can you repeat, when do you need a 107? And when do you need insurance if you're moving this into business?
Okay, awesome. the 117 weight actually has nothing to do with it other than if your drone is under 55 pounds. Now, there's a lot of confusion out there because the FAA has a rule with the 250-gram drone. It's a 0.55 pounds. And the only thing with the 0.55 pounds, and I'm glad you asked that question, is the fact that you don't need registration for your drone. Okay, you register your car when you go to the DMV. It's the same thing with drones. Drones are between 250 grams and 55 pounds that are flown for fun, for recreational purposes only, need to be registered. Drones that are under 250 grams, flown for fun, for recreational purposes, do not need to be registered with the FAA. Under Part 107, that 250-gram rule disappears completely. Any drone under 55 pounds operated under Part 107 have to be registered. As far as the Part 107, it applies to any drone under 55 pounds, even the smaller one. Actually, I have, well, you can see it in the background right here. I have a little Mavic Mini right here. That's a 250-gram drone. If I fly this drone under Part 107, it needs to be registered, and you need the Part 107. So Part 107 in weight, really, there's no restriction. Some people think, hey, I'm flying this little thing, I don't have to follow the regulation at all. That's not true. You always have to follow the regulation. The only thing it saves you is $5 if you're flying for fun, because you don't need the registration. So that's the thing. Insurance is important. Anywhere you're going to go, anytime you're going to deal with a customer, they're going to ask you for proof of insurance. The good news is there are choices. My recommendation is that you take a look at Skywatch. It's all one word, skywatch.ai is their website. I talked to their CEO, I talked to them, and I know they're in this for the right reason, and that's why I'm comfortable recommending them. And they have, the great thing about Skywatch is they have a way to do insurance for one day, for one flight, for 1 week, for 1 month, or for 1 year. So you can pick the length of time that you want to be insured. If you want to just go for a flight because you just started, and you can't afford to spend $60 a month on insurance, then you can do one flight and it's going to cost you $4, $5, $10 maybe, depending on the complexity of the flight. And then you're covered for that flight. And you get a $1 million or $2 million policy, whatever you choose. And then you covered for your customer. So they provide you with a certificate you can provide to the customer, and then everything is good. But don't fly without insurance. It's not required by the FAA because that's not what the FAA does, but it's required by real life, I'm going to say, because the liability is pretty high, and you don't want to be operating out there without an insurance.
As a follow-up to that, and again, Greg is not a lawyer, unless you're a lawyer too, and told me that at some point. But a question that always follows on, right? I wanted to bring it up is, okay, you have your drone insurance, but like for even the Pilot Institute, like, do you recommend anything like errors and emission insurance, professional liability, or those things people should think about, or not as much?
Yeah, we do, and we talk about this in the course. Actually, we talk about the 4 or 5 different types of insurance that you can get, and we talk about the way to get them. Now, what the interesting thing about aviation is that as soon as you go to an insurance company and you say, I'm flying airplanes or I'm flying drones, they're going to say, I don't want to touch it. So you have to go to an aviation specific insurance company that's going to help you to do that. And there are a bunch of them out there, and I mentioned some of them in the course. But yes, we do recommend an insurance for your LLC. Now, we also recommend, obviously, that you create an LLC and you don't just operate as an ownership because of the liability issue. You need to separate yourself from this liability, and LLC is the easiest way to do it. So we actually show you how to build the LLC in the course. And it's not complicated, but it needs to be done the right way if you want to avoid getting in trouble.
Thank you for that, Greg. Speaking of the course, I wanted to bring a question up. That was a nice comment. I wanted to grab this question. And before you get to this, I just wanted to repeat for folks. I put the links to Greg's course, specifically when he mentioned Drone Business Made Easy, in the YouTube comments. That's also in the YouTube description, and we'll email it out after. One thing to note is Greg very generously offered to take $120 off this course for the folks who attended this presentation or watched the replay for the next 7 days only. You don't need to apply any coupons, just click the link. But Greg, thank you again for offering up that discount. I know you don't normally do that, so we do appreciate it. But speaking of the course, does your class offer a business plan template that's drone business specific, or is it like a general template? Do you speak a bit more to that?
Yep, absolutely. No, we do actually offer a template, and the cool thing about the template is that I mentioned there's 20 some different task items that you have to do. And in the business plan, we wrote every single one of them. Now, when you watch the presentation, at one point, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to say, hey, now it's your turn to go to assignment number 22. And then you get into your business plan and you see assignment number 22. It tells you exactly what we talked about in the video. And then you start working on your assignment. And then you create that paragraph in your business plan. So it's kind of like a paint by number business plan, if you want, where we provide you a number, you read the question, we just talked about it in the video, you fill it up, and then now you have your business plan over time that gets built up. So yeah, it is all in the course, and it's Drone Business made easy. So we make it simple for you to do this.
Thank you for that, Greg. A question about the course and the students itself, right? This is from Salty Doug Sailing. But hey, Greg, of the 80,000 plus Part 107 grads from your program, how many made the Wall of Fame for getting 100% in the exam? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can. I'm actually logging to our Facebook group right now because that's where we put the Wall of Fame. And the Wall of Fame, we have about 40 some people in the Wall of Fame at the moment. And getting 100 on the exam is difficult. Okay. Getting the perfect score, because it just one question out of 60 that you miss, and then now you have a 98 instead of 100. We get an average of 93%. The FA average is right north of 80%. And actually, what we've noticed, I studied the data not too long ago, and since we've been in business, the average has gone up by between 1 and 2 points because of our students doing an amazing work out there. So 93% average for our students. And yeah, the Hall of Fame, actually the Hall of Fame, you get a t-shirt just like this one, a polo shirt for free. And if you get over 90% on the exam, we send you a regular t-shirt with the Pirate Institute logo on it. So students always, they compete to get this. They come back and say, damn, I got an 88 and I didn't get the t-shirt. So it's a really fun way to get people excited.
I have been wondering how to get one of these t-shirts in all of these workshops we've done. Now I know. I got to get a 90 on the 107. And
now you get a 90.
The polo, it's not going to happen for me. I've already given up. So this is a question. You may not have a great answer, but I do want to bring it up because I saw it more than once, is finding folks in your area who may also have a 107 license. I'm not sure if this person is looking for potential drone operators to help them with their business, or they're just looking to network. Do you have any thoughts on this? Or, maybe it's your Facebook group, perhaps. I'm just not sure.
Actually, so there's different ways of doing this, but the FAA has a registry that shows all the people that have pilot licenses, so any pilot license, but including remote pilot certificate Part 107, and you can download that for free, and then you can take a look. Now you'll be able to filter it by zip code. So if you want to check your zip code in there, then you can find all the people that live near you that have a specific pilot certificate. So that's the way I would do it if you're looking to create a group or doing something where you now you don't have phone numbers available in there. You will have their name. If they decide to share their address, then the address will be in there. Then you'll be able to see where they are.
Sorry about that. I was answering a question from the audience about the regular price for your course. 1 second. There was another question I wanted to grab here. And folks, we do have a few minutes left. If there's any last minute questions, if I missed it because it was earlier in the chat, my apologies. Feel free to repost it. I'll try to bring it up now. 1 second. The dry fit shirts. Sorry, I lost these in the comments. My apologies.
Here, while you're looking for this, I'll answer the last one that popped up. It says on your website, do you recommend some drones? Is the list updated? Yeah, we do. We do have a list that we provide to people. When people ask me what drone should I use, I say, what are you going to do with it? Because there's not one simple answer. So we do have a list and we tell you what they're good for. And we do help with that. That's an easy thing we do.
Thank you for that, Greg. This is one of the questions I wanted to grab from earlier, right? Like the actual tactical of running the business. Do you have any recommended ways of sending some of the files and video? WeTransfer was in the comments, but that's obviously a lot there, transferring these types of things. What is your team use and what do you recommend?
Yeah, we actually talk about this in the course as well. There's several services that you can use to send large photos or videos because, and this is something we do on a regular basis just because of our business. We share videos between all of us. So we use Dropbox personally. We have an unlimited amount account. You don't have to get the unlimited, but you can still send large files, several gigabytes. I have files that are 100 gigabytes of videos that we make for the course, and we put all that on Dropbox. So that would be my recommendation, is using something like Dropbox. And I actually don't remember the other. Well, Google Drive is also one of them that we use. So all these options out there, that's what I would use for your customers, because you can send them the link, they can look at it directly, they can download it right away. It's very, very easy.
Thank you for that, Greg. Now, just because we're running low on time, I'm just going to start hitting you with the questions quick. This question, does it make sense to begin your business by working as an external contractor for some of the drone companies that hire pilots? If so, do you have any that you recommend, specifically perhaps in the Las Vegas, Nevada area?
Yeah, I would definitely do that. If you're new to this, go out there and see if you can work with someone, and they can help you with getting started. I would be pretty open about it, rather than just going in and maybe making it look like you're stealing their knowledge or something. But people are always excited. There's enough work for a lot of people out there that the more established businesses usually don't feel threatened by the smaller businesses that are starting. So I would definitely do that. Now, as far as Las Vegas, not familiar enough with the area, but the drone aggregators that I mentioned earlier, they have business all over the country. So join these, and then you'll be, especially if you're in a large area, then you'll be getting work.
Speaking of the aggregators, let me grab this question real quick. In your experience, if you're just starting out, do aggregators hire, if you don't necessarily have experience, or let's say your portfolio isn't really built yet?
No, they do. They'll hire you if you have a drone. It's actually, aggregators is kind of in their advantage because they pay less money. So they don't get the people with a lot of experience because they can't afford them. So they do rely on a lot of people that don't have experience. They will train you. They'll put you through a short course on what they expect and the quality and the angles and all of that. So they'll provide you training.
Next one up, Greg. With the 107 license, does the keeping your drone in the line of sight requirement apply or not apply? Can you speak to this?
It does. You have to maintain visual line of sight, whether you're flying for fun or you're flying for Part 107. So at all time, you have to keep the drone within visual line of sight. And I see a lot of questions about remote ID that are popping up. So let me just mention this real quick. Remote ID is not going to be in place until September of 2023. Don't worry about remote ID at the moment. There will be plenty of solutions by the time we get to it. Don't delay buying a drone today, because these are the questions we get all the time because of remote ID. I talk to DJI on a regular basis. I actually interviewed the person that represents DJI America not too long ago. We had that discussion, and he said it's going to be a simple software update for us to update our drone. So I would not say, no, I'm not buying this because it doesn't have remote ID. There's no drone right now that have remote ID out there, but they will be, and we don't need them until 2023. So let's worry about this in early 2023, and then we can have the discussion.
We'll have Greg back then. As soon as these regulations come out and it actually happens, Greg, you're coming back. We'll talk through it then. I know we're at time, but let me grab one or two more. If you still have time, Greg, you good for another?
I'm all open for another 2 hours if you want.
Got it. We're not going 2 hours, folks, but I promise we can at least do a question or two more. What I wanted to ask was the international, right? A lot of what I think you talked about was North American based, specifically US based regulations. If someone's in Barcelona or somewhere else, do you think your course is useful? Would you recommend it, or is there another resource you'd point them to?
For the Part 107, it will not apply anywhere else outside of the US. But for the drone business course, starting a business or a drone business is really the same anywhere in the world. So I think the course is cheap enough that it is a great resource to learn how to do things. You're still going to have to find your clientele. You're still going to have to find who you're going to target, how to do marketing. This applies anywhere in the world. So yeah, I would say absolutely it is useful.
A question that was a follow-up to the line of sight requirement, I'm trying to find the exact question here, is, let me see if I can grab it. Line of sight applying to, I think, what is it, first-person visual? Can you speak a bit to that? Is there an exception for that? Is there any nuance here?
Yep. So FPV, you still need to do visual line of sight. The only way that you can get that accomplished is by having a visual observer next to you. The FAA basically says that at all time, you and the visual observer need to be able to see the drone. They're not saying that you need to look at the drone all the time, which allows you to be in the goggles while your visual observer next to you is looking for the drone. So if you want to do it legally, this is how you would do it for FPV. And that's the only way to get visual line of sight. If you fly by yourself, you do not meet the requirements and you can get in trouble with the FAA.
All right, folks, we are at time. I know there's more questions, and I know Greg could keep going. First off, or before we sign off, what I wanted to say is thank you all again for attending. If you enjoyed having Greg here, we will have him back. We love having Greg here, but like the video, that's how we go back and understand who to bring back. If you enjoyed the channel, feel free to subscribe as well. Greg, before we sign off, any last words of wisdom that you want to share with the audience today?
No, if you have additional questions, feel free to email me. I really have no problem if you send me an email, even if you're not a student in the course. It's very simple, greg@pilotinstitute.com. Shoot me your note, tell me what you're looking for, and then I'll answer. It may be today or tomorrow because I'm coming back from a trip and catching up, but I answer every single email, so I will not let you hang dry. But appreciate all of you joining. This was exciting. As you can tell, I can talk drones for hours and hours. And Aaron, as always, this is a great opportunity for us, and we love working with Teachable. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. We're happy to have you here. Folks, wherever you are, have a wonderful rest of your day. We're going to be signing off in just a second. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.